What is going on, amazing people? Welcome back to another episode of the Thrive Forever Fit Show. I hope you're having a rock star awesome day. My day's going fantastic. And before I jump into the actual podcast, I want to make a public apology to those of you guys that are watching the show and not just listening. For those of you guys that don't know, I also put the show on YouTube, so you can watch on YouTube if you're a visual and an audio person like me. I actually prefer to watch my podcast. I listen to a bunch of them as well, but if I have the option and one is available via audio and video, I usually like to watch it on YouTube as well. But the apology is this. I'm wearing a blue shirt today. For those of you guys that aren't watching, you don't know this, and this really doesn't pertain to you, but just hang in there. I'm wearing a blue shirt today, and I just want to say I'm sorry, because the other day someone slid into my DMs and they were like, listen, Jay, like, I love the show. I love the content. Best podcast known to man. They didn't say that, but I assume they were thinking it. They were just distracted. They said, listen, I got to the end of a show the other day and realized that I hadn't heard a word you said because your blue shirt made your eyes pop, and I felt like your eyes are the fourth member of the Blue Man Group. So just knowing that, I should not have worn this shirt today. Just hit me when I hit record. So I want to go ahead and apologize for that. Try to pay attention. Don't get stuck in the gaze. Fourth member of the Blue Man Group. I appreciate that. I mean, what are you going to do? Guys, today's show is sponsored by Elite Branch Chain Amino Acids. Now check this out. Elite Branch Chain Amino Acids Plus. Now, what the plus stands for is the addition of electrolytes and some other amazing ingredients. So temperatures across the country right now, backyard barbecues are hitting the hundreds. And so it's imperative and just plain intelligent to stay completely hydrated and recovered at all times. So what Elite Branch Chain Amino Acids Plus brings to the game is the combination of your BCAAs plus your electrolytes. It's the only branched chain amino acid in the game that combines branched chain amino acids, electrolytes, 4 grams of glutamine plus 1 gram of L-citrulline in the same serving. And you will never, ever, ever find a chemical, an artificial, an unpure, an unnatural, anything that could hurt or harm you in Elite BCAA Plus. I'm going to drop the link down in the comments below in the show notes. On YouTube, it'll be down in the comments. Or you can just go to Thrive Forever Fit, hit the store button, see the branched chain amino acids, click it, check it out, get yourself some, get hydrated, get healthy, get recovered. It's my favorite product on the planet, guys. I'm actually showing up the bottle here for you guys watching on the tube. If you see me drinking out of my blue water bottle, it's got branched chain amino acids plus in it all the time. I also drink one while I work out in the gym as well. So I'm drinking drinking 2 to 3 of these bad boys a day right now. It's going to be 114 this weekend. What are you going to do, right? Stay hydrated, stay recovered, stay on top of your health game. Now to the show. Today's show, guys, is titled Booby-Trapped. Kind of an interesting title, right? What the hell is he going to talk about today? Booby-Trapped. And here's what I've been thinking about lately. The path of least resistance is always booby-trapped. Think about this. If you've ever been in the military, you've ever seen a military show, you've ever watched a Navy SEALs or a Special Forces or whatever, the path of least resistance is always lined with booby traps, bombs, you name it, things that will harm you. Life is no different. Here's the wish. We all wish that the path to least resistance, the path to success was linear. We wish it was a straight line. We wish you just walked out your front door and walked directly across the street, and that's where you'd find your success. Unfortunately, the reality is this: the line is rarely ever, never straight, and it actually requires a massive amount of grit, determination, and advanced navigation skills to get where it is that you truly deserve and desire to go. But see, most people want that straight line, and they continue to try to walk that straight line. And I'm going to explain how that falls into play for weight loss, for money, for relationships, so that maybe you can realize that the straight line, although it seems like the path of least resistance, is actually booby-trapped. That's where you're going to get hurt. That's where you're going to get derailed. That's where you're going to get stuck. And many of you continue to go down that same path over and over and over again. Quick story. So have you guys heard of the Eco Challenge? The eco challenge is like considered adventure racing. So what they used to do is they used to like fly you to like some remote jungle or island or something like that. And there'd be teams of 4. I think it was teams of 4. I think it was either teams of 4 or teams of 3. I can't remember. Paul and Karen are going to kill me for that. So I'm going to tell you the story about my friends Paul Romero and Karen Lundgren. So there's teams of 3 or 4. One of the team members has to be a female. So what they would do is they'd fly you over somewhere, drop you off in the middle of a remote jungle, and you would have to navigate your way to the finish line. Through that navigation, you might have to boat, you might have to climb, you might have to rappel, you might have to swim, you might have to mountain bike, you might have to cross a desert, an ocean. You might have to, I mean, you couldn't cross the ocean, but you know what I'm saying? You might have to swim in the ocean. There'd be all kinds of crazy things, and you would have to navigate the finish line just using a compass and a map. There were no straight lines. And the person that got there, I mean, some teams didn't even get there. You had to hit certain checkpoints on the way. Think about your life as that way. It's about hitting checkpoints along the way. It's about hitting checkpoints of success. You get to here, you reassess, and then you go again. It's much like the military. Like if you've ever seen like a show or a movie or any of those things, they never get off the helicopter and just walk straight to the place they need to go. Right? It's always a route or a diversion or something like that to get them to the successful place. This is what you have in common with the Eco Challenge, adventure racing, and the military. So my friends Paul Romero and Karen Lundgren, world-class championship level adventure racers. And I remember having this conversation with Paul. I mean, he was telling me about the whole thing. I'd seen it on TV, but I didn't understand the magnitude of what went on with it. And so we're talking about fitness, and Paul's an extremely fit dude. I mean, unreal. Karen is an unbelievable machine. And so what Paul was telling me one day, he's like, the most important person on the team, because everybody has to be fit. Everybody has to be able to overcome pain and adversity and sleep deprivation and hunger and blah, 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 all those things. But the most important people on the team, the most important person on the team was the expert navigator. The person that could look at the map, get the compass, and get you from A to Z the fastest and the safest. But that was never the straight line. It would have been like, if you handed me the map, I'd say, well, hey, Paul, I think we should go this way. And he's like, well, that's an ocean, Jay. What are we going to do? We're going to swim like, 5 miles in the ocean. I'd be like, I mean, it's a straight line, right? Like, this is what we should do. Or he'd be like, that's a canyon. How do you plan to fly us over the Grand Canyon? That would be my mentality for eco racing, right? Because you just want to get out of there as fast as possible. But what he was telling me is this: they were the most advanced, the most skilled, and the most important person on the team. That's you in your life. You're the navigator. You're the person with the map and the compass. So stop looking at the map without the compass and thinking, well, I'm just going to walk straight from here to there. And you keep getting derailed and diverted and obstructed every time you do that. So what you need to do is set your life up very similar to how they would have to set up these eco challenges. They would have to look at the map and say, okay, well, here's the first checkpoint. What's the route to the first checkpoint that is going to cause us the least amount of pain and the least amount of setback? And it's not the straight line. So they would compass themselves. I mean, that's not a proper terminology. Don't quote me on that. You never want to be out in the wilderness with me, by the way. Probably wouldn't even know which way to set the compass. So just know I'm using this as an analogy. But it's the navigator, guys, is the most important person in the process. And the navigator cannot get idealistic about how they are going to reroute this map. They have to look at the topography of the map. They have to say, well, that's a 1,000,000-foot crevasse. I just like to say crevasse from time to time. And there's no way to go through that. So we have to go around that. What we do as humans is we look at the crevasse and we end up walking straight into the damn thing. And we fall thousands of feet down, which gets us stuck at the bottom. And we do that over and over and over again. You're saying, well, Jay, what does this have to do with weight loss? What does it have to do with money? What does it have to do with success in relationships? Here's exactly what it has to do. This is the metaphorical way that we look for success to be that linear line. And weight loss, we want it now. We want to get from weighing 500 pounds to weighing 150 pounds now. And how we think we're going to do that is by some kind of hack, some kind of quick fix, some kind of fad, some kind of magic potion or lotion, or the bright, shiny object syndrome, meaning we'll do this for a little while and then we'll say, oh, well, this looks fun. I'll do this. And then we'll look over here and we'll do this. And then we'll do this. And the next thing you know, you're so off course. You're so off track that you get these feelings of overwhelm and anxiety, and you think, I've gotten so off course. I've gotten so off track that there's no way I'm ever going to get to my destination. That's how we end up. That's how almost every client that comes to me ends up. They're like, I don't know where the destination even is anymore. I've gotten so out of whack and so off sorts and so, I don't even know where my compass is. And even that person knows. We know the only real formula to weight loss, the only real formula to quality overall health and fitness is committed consistency to the basics, the things that have been proven over and over and over again. But here's the situation. The basics get boring for most people. And when humans get bored, they get lazy. And when humans get lazy, they get complacent. And when complacency sets in, you start looking for shortcuts. You start looking for the path of least resistance. That's how this whole booby trap thing equates to you. Your booby traps are the hacks and the quick fixes and the fads and the miracle pills and potions that you keep looking for. It's the new fad diet that you keep reading about. It's what so-and-so did over here. It's what who did over there. It's what boo-boo did back there. And you keep chasing these things, even though they're not working. And some of you even had success before. And I'll even ask my clients, well, how'd you have success before? And they'll be like, well, you know how I had success before. I did exactly what, we were supposed to do. I did the basics. I was committed and consistent every day. I'm like, well, why won't you do that again? And the answer is always the same, because it seems like it's going to take so long. So they'd rather go down the BoobyTrap Trail and end up way worse than they are now. See, the BoobyTrap Trail doesn't only harm you. It basically puts you in a situation where you feel like you're never going to get there. You're never going to win. You lose sight of the objective, because the bottom line is this: in war times, the booby-trap trail, you end up dead. In weight loss times, in non-theatrical times, you just end up so far off course that you get overwhelmed, anxious, and depressed, because you can no longer you don't even have the map anymore. Like, you've gotten so far removed from what it is that you really wanted. You're not even on your own map anymore, much less know even where your compass is. So the way to get back to that, guys, is to go back to the basics. Stop thinking that your success is going to be linear. Stop thinking it's going to be a straight line. Stop thinking you're going to be able to walk out your door at 300 pounds and walk back in 2 days at 150 pounds. That's an unrealistic thought process, and it's not even true. But somehow you convince yourself that there's a magic bullet, there's a trail that you just don't know about yet. You know what the trail is. You've blazed it before. Blaze it again. And it won't be the same trail, right? Because now the trail's got brush on it. The winds have blown everything on it. There's rocks now that have moved in it. The water's washed it away. The new trail is going to be a new trail. It won't be the same way you got back there the last time. And you're going to have to work your butt off to get to it. Let's use money as an analogy. Let's talk about like everybody wants to get rich quick. Everybody wants to follow what's the pyramid or the MLM, or hey, look what I'm making over here, selling this stuff that's not it's not coffee, but it's better than coffee, and it's going to make you feel amazing, and you're going to lose all this weight, and then you're going to get rich, and like you're going to be able to go on vacations, and we got a company meeting in Puerto Vallarta this year, and we're going to drink margaritas by the pool. Like, no, you're not, right? You're not going to get rich doing that. It's like investing in a gold mine in Arizona. If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. I'm going to tell you a story about that sometime. When I was in my 20s, see, I don't just talk out my ass, guys. This podcast is for realists. This podcast is for people that want real life, true stories from somebody who's done stupid shit, realized that stupid shit was not the way to get where it is they wanted to go, corrected it, and now doesn't do stupid shit anymore. That's me. I'm your guy. When I was in my young 20s, I invested in a gold mine in Arizona. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. Ask me if I ever made my investment back. No, I did not. Ask me if I think about that all the time as a dumbass kid. Yes, I do. Was it too good to be true? 100%. Did it end up being too good to be true? Yes, it did. Was there a real gold mine? Yes, there was. But it was still bullshit. Right. I still lost money on the deal because it was too good to be true. But I was chasing the rabbit, right? I was a young kid. I'm like, are you shitting me? I can have a gold mine of gold? I'm gonna give you this amount of money. You're gonna start sending me checks. Like, do I need to go mine the gold? Do I need to take a pickaxe? Do I need to get a headlamp? No, we're just gonna give you money back. Too good to be true. When shit's too good to be true, guys, it's too good to be true. See, all those things above, the get rich quick scam, the pyramids, the MLMs, the hacking the systems, the Forex trading, the cryptos, all that shit. The gold mine in Arizona is just going to leave you broke and jobless. Who wants to be broke and jobless? Raise your hand. Nobody. Stop looking for the straight line. Stop looking for the linear path. How I got to where I am today, if I put it on a whiteboard for you, you'd be, damn. Like, that's a lot of circles, bro. Like, that's a lot of sideways shit. Is that a boulder? And I'd be like, yeah, it was a boulder. Right. What'd you do? Well, I got over it, right? How about relationships? The lousy relationship you know isn't going to work, but you settle anyway. I've heard people say, man, that's better than nothing. Is it? Like a shitty relationship's better than nothing? What about the bro who goes on vacation, gets the Tinder hookup, right? He's on, I don't even really know what Tinder is. I just hear the kids talk about it. He gets the Tinder hookup and he thinks it's real love. He thinks it's love. We're getting married, bro. We're getting married. Me and Cinnamon are getting married. I'm like, what you married what? You married Cinnamon again? What do you mean you married Cinnamon? Speaking of Cinnamon, what about the stripper from Vegas who keeps sliding into your DMs because you went to the club that one time? Maybe she wants to marry you, right? See, those are all the quick hacks, man. You go and you dump all your money. She loves you, right? Till you run out of money. And then all those above leave you broke, alone, living in your mom's spare bedroom at age 40, all because you weren't willing to just do what you need to do to get in a good relationship. Like, no relationship. And think about your relationships right now. Those of you guys that have like successful marriages, successful relationships. Was it linear? Was it like you just met like I've never seen The Notebook, but I assume this is how it went down. Like, there was a notebook and like it was in the middle of a beautiful like orchard, and like I walked into the orchard and then she walked into the orchard and we both picked up the notebook at the same time and we looked in each other's eyes. And then from that moment on, like, life was just amazing and beautiful. Is that pretty much how The Notebook went? Because that's how I feel like The Notebook went. And then we open up the notebook and it just writes our own love story in the notebook. Like, neither one of us have a pen, but it's like, metaphorically writing it in there. And it's like, blah, blah, it's beautiful though. It's gorgeous. It's the best thing you've ever seen. Right. Did it work like that? No, it didn't work like that. It's not linear. Like, it's not a straight line. You have to navigate relationships. Life's the same way, guys. The path of least resistance, the silliness I've talked about, is always booby-trapped. No pun intended. I didn't think about the Vegas stripper thing and the Tinder hookup when I did the booby-trap thing. I should have dug into that a little deeper before I went down that path. But I think you understand what I'm saying. So, following the basic rules of survival, if it's too good to be true, then it's too good to be true. And the path of least resistance is always lined with booby traps. Just remember that. Just remember that one sentence. The path of least resistance is always lined with booby traps. I'm going to leave you with this. So Nick Saban is the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, probably what people would say Hall of Fame college coach, best college football coach ever, blah, 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 multiple national championships. But he's got a quote that I think about all the time, and I actually talk about it all the time. Write this down. Think about this quote and decide which one of these players you are. And I'm going to get to an analogy of how these players view the path of least resistance. So Coach Saban says this: the average player wants to be left alone. The good player wants to be coached. The great player wants to be told the truth. Let that sink in for a second. Average player just wants to be left alone. There's no average players listening to this podcast right now. I can tell you that. Average players don't want to grow. Average players don't want to learn. Average players don't want to transform. Average players don't want to disrupt the way they think and be inspired to think differently. And they don't want to transform into being a great or a good player. They just don't. Good players want to be coached. Some of you guys right now are good players. You want to be coached. Like, coach me, bro. Like, what do I need to do to get better? You're here. You're doing it. You're doing the right things. Great players want to be told the truth. That's pretty much what I do on this podcast. I just simply tell you the truth as I see it, as I've lived it, as I've gone through it, as 25 years of coaching people, humans, has taught me, as my own life lessons have taught me. You know what I mean? That's the way that I am looking at the way that I teach you guys. You guys are good and great players. So using that quote as an analogy, it's the average player that looks for the path of least resistance. Again, none of you guys are average players. And if you're looking for the path of least resistance, stop it. You're not average. You don't want to be left alone. You want to be coached. You want to be told the truth. It's the great player that creates its own path. Think about that. Average player wants to be left alone. They look for the path of least resistance. The great player wants to be told the truth, and they know the truth will be found in the creation of their own path, using their map and their compass. You're saying, well, Jay, what about the good player? What does that cat want? What path does the good player take? The good player is so smart and they're so coachable that they follow the great player down the path that they created. Think about that. You don't have to always create your own path. It goes back to the analogy of success leaves clues, right? The difference is the good player can't get derailed by the bright, shiny object and the boredom and follow the average player down the path of least resistance. They've got to stay focused on the craft. They've got to stay focused on the growth. They've got to stay focused on the process, and they've got to follow or become the great player and create the path or follow the great player down the path. That's what coaching is all about. This is what I do. I take good players and great players and help them create their own path, whether it's in health and fitness, whether it's in their relationships, their finances, their life as a whole. Like, that's the process of coaching. You're really helping and navigating a good and a great player down the path of least resistance. Average players don't want to be coached. They just want to be left alone. Never be an average player, guys. Always be the hardest worker in the room. Always be the person willing to learn and grow. And one of the most important things I can say about life in general is the level to which you are coachable will have a massive amount of importance and a massive amount of value on how successful you will become. The most successful people I know are extremely coachable, regardless of what level they're at. So, two of my coaches are some of the most successful entrepreneurs, the most successful financially and processes and programs and companies and businesses on the planet today. And I can tell you both dudes are coachable. So when you get coached by a coachable person, you listen. See, I want to be told the truth. That's why I picked these two guys as my coach. I want to be told the truth. Because the truth is what's going to get me on the right path. The truth is what's going to keep me off of that path of least resistance. And I don't want to be left alone. I always have a coach. I always have a process. I always have a program. I always have somebody who is coachable that is willing to coach me. And if that's you and you're not getting coaching right now, get your ass a coach. And then when you get that coach, because what a coach does is a coach gives you access. A coach gives you access to the navigational tools that you need to create your path. See, if you don't have a coach and you don't have navigational tools and you don't have a process and a system and standards and all those things, you will eventually end up on the path of least resistance because it's the only path you see. Because the path you need to be on is not there. It's not created. You have to figure it out and find it. You've got to shovel. You got to hoe. You got to pick stuff. You got to go through the weeds. That's what a coach is for. He helps you. She helps you get to where it is you need to go. You get further faster. If you're down with learning more about coaching, guys, hit me up. Send me a DM. Go to Thrive Forever Fit. Hit the coaching button. Fill out the little template. I'll set up a coaching call with you. We will get you where it is you need to go, even if I'm not your dude. If I'm your dude, we'll crush it together. If I'm not, I know so many dudes, so many women that are amazing that will be the perfect fit for you, and I will set you up with them. But I guarantee you, myself or one of my associates will help you get where it is you want to go. And I'll leave you with this. The most successful people I know have coaches. The two guys I just talked about a while ago, multi-millionaires, massive companies, most you've heard of, both have coaches. Why would they want to coach, Jay? Right? Does it make sense to you now? Because the path of least resistance is booby-trapped, and they want to stay off of that path. Because success isn't linear. So just because they're on the success path right now, they want to stay on it. And they know that the straighter the line gets, the more booby traps are on the line. So they've got to continue to create new paths. Create new paths, my friend. Be awesome. Be amazing. Be great to each other. If you're not part of my Wellness Lab Launchpad, that's the first step for you. Get your butt over to Facebook. Search Wellness Lab Launchpad. It's in the show notes right here. Google me. Go to my website. It's on the first page of my website, thriveforeverfit.com. Scroll down. You're going to see a giant button that says Join Wellness Lab Launchpad. Click it. We'll let you in immediately. I'm about to buzz over there right now and do a free training. I'm setting up something amazing starting on June the 20th. I'm doing something called the, can I even tell? I don't know if I should tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. June 20th, I'm starting a free training, a free 6-day training called Mindset Revolution. Never in the history of our time have we needed our mindset to get right. We are in uncharted territories, uncharted waters, and the one thing that's going to get us out of those waters is the proper mindset. So I'm doing a 6-day training called Mindset Revolution, 100% free. If you're listening to this and you're not part of the Wellness Lab Launchpad, get your ass over there. It's the only place you're going to see it. I'm not doing it anywhere else on Facebook. I'm only doing it in this private group. It's a free group and it's a free training. Why not take advantage of that? Be coachable, right? Get told the truth. That's what's going to happen in that episode. I mean, in that free training. And that's what's going to happen if you decide you want to work with me in a coaching level. I'm going to tell you the truth brutally and honestly, but with so much love and so much empathy and so much compassion. It's going to blow your mind, and you're going to get where it is you deserve and desire to go. All right, guys. I mean, why not end on that, right? Have a rock star day. Love each other. Be kind to each other. Let's be the light that the people need right now. Let's be the change that we want to see in the world. All right. Love you. And I'm going to see you again soon. All right. Have an awesome day. Bye.